1623. All right? 519-671-1623. Now, don't do anything with that yet. And just so we're all together on this and understand and have some clarity, this is my phone number. Some of you are like, Ron, what are you thinking? This is a number that we're going to use in the service. Please do not call me at 1 a.m. I probably won't answer the phone because I don't have the phone in my room. So just get that ready, okay? All right, keep that with you. We're going to do something with it in a minute. Do you want it? You good? What's that? What? I can't hear a thing. Is it on the screen? Okay. 519-671-1623. We good? We're good with this? All right. Just leave it there, and we're going to get to it in a second. So today, we start a brand new series. One of the things that I love about our church is that we do these series where we dive in on a topic for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Sometimes we dive into a book in the Bible, a letter in the Bible, or a book in the Bible, and we explore it, we grow in it, we learn from it. Today, we start a brand new series called Breakthrough. And what I am so excited about this series, and I'm convinced that there are some of us that are going to experience a significant breakthrough as a result of this series. And to be clear, it's not because of clever teaching and clever experiences in a Sunday morning. It has nothing to do with me, and to be quite honest with you, it has everything to do with the fact that you will be open to the truth that God has for you and how He wants to speak into your life. I'm convinced that God's going to do that. Matter of fact, if I wasn't convinced, then we shouldn't even be gathering together because it wouldn't make any sense to gather if we don't have the expectation that God is going to do something. He's going to change something in us. We're going to have a breakthrough. So for 5 weeks, we're going to talk about things like life and faith. We're going to talk about marriage and family. We're going to talk about raising kids. We're going to talk about anxiety. We're going to talk about a number of different things that relate to our lives, all leading us towards how faith fits into the mix of all of this. As I was preparing and studying for this, I read a book called Breakthrough. I know, eh? You gotta love it. By this guy named Sean Bowles, and he has the definition of breakthrough is this: a sudden, dramatic, important development or discovery. An instance of achieving success in a particular sphere or activity. I love that. A sudden, dramatic, important development or discovery. We look at life and we realize that there are incredible breakthroughs. We think about medicine. We think about people that have researched and researched and researched and done all these things and prepared, and then all of a sudden they have this breakthrough. They have this moment where they have a solution to a particular condition, and it's like, yes, this is the breakthrough we've been looking for. We see continually breakthroughs when it comes to technology. I got you to get your phone out because you're going to text me. You're thankful that you don't have to T9 me anymore. Some of you are like, I don't even know what that is. That's T9, right? It used to be T9. Remember that with the old flip phones? Some of you are some of you are like, I don't even know what that is. Okay, forget the T9 thing. I remember sending my first email over dial-up internet. I just aged myself, I know. I'm so thankful for the breakthrough in high speed. Yeah, right? Fiber, all that kind of stuff is so great. People just look for breakthroughs. Like, that's kind of why I like watching AGT or The Voice. There's these people that have got a talent, a gift. They just need a breakthrough. It's kind of like you finally had a breakthrough in life. It's kind of like you asked her out over and over and over, and she finally said yes. You tormented her, you texted her, you emailed her, and she finally said yes. Or maybe it's the breakthrough where you say, he finally asked me out. Right? We look at these moments, these things, and these situations. We want this breakthrough experience. We live here, but we know that we have a sense of hope and freedom, or there's something on the other side over there that we believe will give us what we hope for, what we dream for. And we look at that and we just say, we just need a breakthrough. We need something to happen in order to take me from here to there. And so we long for it. We sometimes pray for it. We sometimes share it with other people. Sometimes it's just private. We keep it to ourselves. But we want that breakthrough. I want you to think about right now, as you have my cell phone number typed into your text message, I want you to think about this for a minute. What is your breakthrough? What is the thing that you need a breakthrough for? And here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do this. This is your ability to participate in this morning. And just so we're clear, I'm not going to use your name. I'm not going to use your situation, although it may come in generally speaking. I'm not going to point anybody out. I'm not going to text you back. I'm not going to call you, all that kind of stuff, just so you know. I don't have the time. But here's what I want you to do. I'm going to give you 30 seconds because I'm convinced that there's some of us in this room that are longing for a breakthrough in life. It could be breakthrough in your anger, your bitterness, your unforgiveness. It could be a breakthrough with a dream, a hope, whatever it might be. It might be in your marriage. It might be in your kids, whatever it might be. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and I want you to text what your breakthrough is. Oh, man, you guys are doing it. I didn't know if anyone would actually do this. Oh, man, we even got people online texting me. My phone is lit up. Oh, hi, Trevor. Good to see you too, by the way. I am so thankful I have unlimited text messaging. I didn't expect this, to be honest. Thanks. I know I'm wearing a nice shirt. Thank you. All right. You can keep texting if you need to. I got to put my phone down. Here's what I want you to know. God wants this for you, this breakthrough. Whether it's your business, whether it's your relationship, whether it's peace, whether it's the breakthrough in your home, with your kids, whatever it is, your pride, God desires a breakthrough. He longs for it in you. As I was preparing and studying and putting this talk together, I came across something that I had never known before. And I've been a follower of Jesus for a very long time, and I've been a pastor for over 25 years, and I never understood this, that one of the names of God is actually the God of the breakthrough. I had never heard this before. I had never learned this before. I don't know where I missed it along the way. But there's a small little verse found in a section of most people's Bibles that is still stuck together, by the way. It's in a minor prophet called Micah. He says this, "Your leader will break out and lead you out of exile, out through the gates of the enemy cities, back to your own land. Your king will lead you. The Lord himself will guide you." Micah's writing to God's people, and he's helping them understand that even though they're in a season of exile, even though they're in a season of brokenness, even though they're in a season where their relationship with God has been somewhat severed, but yet his presence is still there, and he's saying to them, listen, he will break through. That word break is actually the word that describes the identity of the one doing the breaking, which means this, that God is the God of the breakthrough. When you actually step back and take a look at the Christian faith, when you look at it from a 30,000-foot view, you begin to realize that, oh my goodness, the Christian faith is all about breakthrough. It's all about the movement or the transformation of the old self to the new self, from death to life. There is this unbelievable movement that takes shape in a person's life through the power of a relationship with Jesus. Listen, there's a moment in the Christian faith that goes back some 2,000 years ago that's the apex of the Christian message, and it's this: he walked out of a tomb. That there is this one we call Jesus who came to this earth, the Son of God, came and walked among us. He went to a cross. He was buried in a tomb. And it says that 3 days later, he walked out of the tomb, which means this: he broke through death. He broke through the darkness. He broke through sin so that we might be able to be reconciled to the Father. It was the breakthrough moment of the Christian faith. I know that for some of us, we have a perspective of the Christian faith. It's all about the religious activity that we do in order to earn God's favor. It's all about what I do. But the truth is that the breakthrough happens because it's been done for us. Too oftentimes we miss this part of the Christian faith. And what makes it so powerful is that the God of the breakthrough is the one who steps into that thing that we want to have the breakthrough with. One of the things I love about this church, and as we continue to expand and as we continue to look at what God is doing beyond just London and in Exeter, what I begin to realize is that there are countless numbers of stories of people experiencing the breakthrough that God wants for them. I had a conversation with 2 young 20-somethings in our church office this past week at our Alpha program that we're running on Tuesday nights, and they shared their story with me. And one of them it had this realization that was here for the first time when we renamed the church earlier this year, and she said to me, I didn't come here expecting to find Jesus. I just came here to support a friend and cheer a friend on. See, one of the most beautiful things about God is that God longs for the breakthrough. He longs for you to have the breakthrough in your life, no matter what it is that you're experiencing. But there's a piece of this that I think we just need to get real about. One of the things that we honor around here is just being real about life and faith, and I think we need to be real about this. When we begin to think about God of the breakthrough, what we need to realize is this one simple thought, and it's this: that God actually invites us into the process of the breakthrough. God invites us into the process of the breakthrough. Listen, I would believe and trust, and maybe you do too, or maybe you don't, but I would believe that God can miraculously do these things. I believe that God can miraculously, and sometimes He does these things for us in a miraculous way. I can count through my life moments where I've seen breakthrough, and it truly was those little moments. But the vast majority of the time, God invites us into the process of the breakthrough. Now, let me kind of help you with this. I want to take you to this really great moment in the Old Testament where we get some inspiration of understanding God inviting us into the process. I want to take you to it. It's found in a book in the Old Testament called Joshua, and it's a moment where God's people are moving into what is referred to as the Promised Land, where God had told them that they would go there would be blessing, there would be unity, there would be multiplication, and that God was going to use them to bless others. But one of the most awkward moments and understandings of God leading His people in the Promised Land is that they would have to go into the Promised Land, and there was opposition. There was people groups in the way. And if you read the Old Testament, it kind of makes you scratch your head about God, because God's people would go and they would actually battle these other people groups. And they would, full-out wars would happen, and we're like, what? That's so confusing to me. Why don't they just, hold hands and sing Kumbaya and become friends? But the truth is that this context in which we look at in the Old Testament, we realize that it's an ancient tribal context, nothing like what we know or understand today. Like, people groups would do this, they would have to go in and they would actually destroy the complete city so that nothing or no one could rise up in the future and come and avenge that death. And so that's kind of the context. It's not like they were going into Lucan, and taking over the Lucanites, all those, savages in Lucan. It's not like that. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you guys all savages, but it's all right. You forgive me, right? It's a church. You got to forgive me, right? So with some of that background, we realize that Joshua is God's man to lead God's people into this moment we find in Joshua chapter 6. Let me read it for you. Now the gates of Jericho were tightly shut because the people were afraid of the Israelites. No one was allowed to go out or in. But the Lord said to Joshua, I have given you Jericho, its kings and all its strong warriors. You and your fighting men should march around the town once a day for 6 days. 7 priests will walk ahead of the ark, each carrying a ram's horn. On the 7th day, you are to march around the town 7 times with the priests blowing the horns. When you hear the priests give one long blast on the ram's horn, have all the people shout as loud as they can. Oh, I wonder what they shouted. But anyway, there ain't no flies on us. But anyway, then the walls of the town, sorry, that's what goes on in my head. Then the walls of the town will collapse and the people can charge straight into the town. What does God say to Joshua? He says, listen, you have the victory. I've given you the victory. The breakthrough is yours. That town of Jericho, the kings and the warriors, every aspect of it, the victory is yours. But what does God do in order for the breakthrough to happen? He invites Joshua into the process of the breakthrough. He says, I want you to march around the walls 1 time each day for 6 days, and then on the 7th day, I want you to march around 7 times, blow the horn as loud as you can, then everybody shout. Now, imagine Joshua and his people. I don't know, God. Come on, man. Can't you just do it for us? Do you know the blisters we get walking in the wilderness? You know what, God? The tents that we live in are comfortable and convenient and familiar. Can you just do this for us? Can you just do this for us? Imagine what would happen if Joshua had said, we're staying in the tents. You know what it does to my back when I walk like this? The massage therapists and the chiropractors, they're busy because we walk a lot, God. Have you ever had something you've just prayed about and you want God to fix? From the text messages, I would say that, yeah, we have. You know, it's like your marriage is drifting. You're like, God, would you just fix this? You know, your kids are off the rails. God, would you just fix this? You're in debt. You can't find a job. You're struggling. You're going into an exam to write and you haven't studied. God, can you give me the answers? God, I need someone to spend my life with. It's interesting that earlier this year, I really had a sense that something was out of tune inside of me. It wasn't like I was completely off the rails or anything. It was just something inside of me just wasn't sitting right. I had been struggling with some things, and so I remember saying to my wife, you know what, I've got to work on this, So I started praying and journaling and asking God to fix it. But then, quickly on into the process of this, I realized that God actually wanted to invite me into the process of this journey of taking care of the inner self, that things that were going on. And so I felt strongly that I needed to see a counselor. And so I started seeing a counselor, and I entered into the process. And my counselor has a faith-based background, and she was able to speak into my life about certain things. And I would say to my wife when I would get home, I feel like I'm reborn. I could have stayed in my living room on my couch, journaling like mad. I could have stayed there. See, what I find so incredible about God is that God desires the breakthrough, but yet he invites us into the process of the breakthrough because he wants to be with us. I want you to think about that for a moment. See, we often want God to be the God where we pull the lever and he answers our prayers and he takes care of everything. We expect instant answers to the prayers that we have. Sometimes we just don't want to walk around our Jericho. Sometimes we just think it's all about what he does for us, but then God looks at us and says, I just want you to walk around once a day. I just want you to keep walking. I don't know this for sure, and I could be completely wrong. But I've been asking myself this question, what was it that God wanted Joshua and the people to do this. Like, what's the deal? Like, once a day? Like, seriously? On the seventh day, 7 times? Like, seriously? I started wondering about this, and like I said, you're going to have to discern this for yourselves. But I wondered if God was watching Joshua to see if he actually really did want the breakthrough to happen. I wonder if there's a piece of this where God was saying, do you really want this? Do you really need this? I wonder what it would have been like if Joshua on day 5 said, I'm out. Or on the 7th day, like the 5th lap, I'm out. He wouldn't have been able to step into the victory that God had promised him. See, I wonder sometimes if we've misunderstood God. We have a false perspective of who God is, when truly it is God saying, I want to walk with you in the process of the breakthrough. Now, I said earlier we honor truth and we honor questions in a context like Vital Point. I want to say this to you because I think there's some of us that are saying something like this. Okay, Ron, I've tried this. I've been there. I bought the t-shirt and it simply doesn't work. And you know what? You would feel that those feelings would be true for you. But one of the things that I've been wondering about and thinking about more as it results to the breakthrough that God has for us is that in the process of the breakthrough, we get to experience the presence of God in the journey of the breakthrough. So I've been wondering a little bit more about, is it truly the breakthrough that God wants for us, or is it more about his presence in our lives in the process of the breakthrough? There was something that Joshua took with him around the walls of Jericho. Do you know what it is? I went over it very quickly when I read it. It was the Ark of the Covenant. It was the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark represents the presence of God, and it went before them. I want you to think about that for a moment. The God of the universe, the God of all creation, longs to be with you, in relationship with you. And that it's very possible that even though you long for that breakthrough and that God is the God of the breakthrough, it is very possible that actually God wants more of you so that you can experience more of him in the process. God doesn't promise to take the storms away, but he promises his presence. And he promises his peace in the midst of that. One of the things that strikes me so clearly about the breakthrough that God wants for you is that it's our ability to know and to understand that in the midst of all this, it's more about trusting in God's timing. I wonder so often about this in my own life is that because I want things to happen quickly, right? I want things to happen right now. I want solutions. I want answers. I want them now. I want to put it in a microwave. I want to put 30 seconds and boom, it's done. As we consider what God is trying to do in the breakthrough, the God of the breakthrough that he's leading and guiding, that we must trust that it is his timing that he will bring the walls down. And if that means walking one more day, if that means walking one more week, or walking one more month, then we say, God, I'm going to trust you. I don't know when this will be, but my trust in you is complete, and I want to walk in that space with you. If you're looking for a God who's the right-away answer God, or if you're looking for a God that you can pull a lever and he gives you your 3 wishes, then you're searching for the wrong God. Because the God of the Christian faith came to us and longs to walk with us in the process so that we can experience more of his presence and his peace. As the band comes to close our service this morning, I can't help but wonder if there's some of us here this morning that are really wrestling with some of these things, that there's a bit of confusion in the midst of all of this. I'm going to ask you to just take a breath. I'm going to ask you to keep walking. I'm going to ask you to consider the possibility that God's presence and his peace is available to you through the person of Jesus Christ. That maybe this morning, for some of us, it's the first time we actually enter into a relationship with him where you utter those words, Jesus, if it is true that you walked out of a tomb for me, if it is true that you conquered sin, that you conquered death, that you are the Jesus of the breakthrough, then I want you in my life so that I can experience more of who God is as I walk in this life. And for some of us, that's a prayer that you need to pray. God, I need you. Jesus, come into my life. There's others of us, I think it's the adjustment of the view that we have of God. That yes, we can trust that God is the God of the breakthrough, that God, his name means breakthrough as it relates to Micah chapter 2. But will you be able to step back and trust fully in that and allow that truth to emerge inside of you? The Christian faith is a faith at times that can give us great clarity. Yes, there are times when it feels like we are wandering in confusion. But I am convinced that God longs to be with you in the process of the breakthrough. I believe that today is a new day for some of us as we take these steps of faith. Listen to this song. Let's stand together. One of the common themes in the text message, I was just checking. Don't worry, guys, I was paying attention to the song. I was just, is anxiety. I'm going to deal with it next week. I'm going to hit it head on. Anxiety is not on the rise. It's become a way of life for some. And it must change. It can change. And we're going to talk about that next week.